Chef Matthew Ward brings decades of professional culinary experience to his role as executive chef of residential dining at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. Ward has worked at the UNT Dining Services since 2017. Chef started his tenure at UNT as chef general manager of the Greens Café, the nation's first and only 100% plant-based university dining hall. Greens Café is also home to a hydroponic freight farm, Mean Green Acres, that provides leafy greens and herbs to various outlets across campus. Thanks to his leadership, Mean Greens Cafe has maintained an A+ rating from PETA 2's vegan report card for past several years, gained numerous accolades, and received praise from industry publications and food blogs. Before joining the UNT Dining Services team, Ward worked in various fine dining establishments throughout the country, including the River Café in Brooklyn, New York, Bouchon Bistro in Yountville, California, and the French Room at the Adolphus Hotel, Dallas, Texas. Matthew is a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, class of '99. Chef Ward is also co-chair of the Executive Chefs Committee for the Menus of Change University Research Collaboration. Take it away, Chef.
Thanks, Billy. I appreciate it, and I appreciate it being here tonight to kind of share my story. A long story at that. I've been in the hospitality industry since, like I had said to Billy, I've been in the hospitality industry since I was 15 years old. Working in the neighborhood restaurant and, as a busboy. So I've always been kind of drawn to the hospitality industry and the organized chaos of what that is. As I sat down and kind of prepared for, this opportunity tonight, I was thinking about, oh, what do I talk about? Of course, I'll share my experiences in a lot of those places that Billy had just listed there. But I think this is the first guest speaker for the new year 2025, right? And we talk about resolutions, I think a couple of years ago I stopped, kind of putting resolutions on myself on a personal level. I know what I need to do, and I know when I need to do it, and that's all year round. So yeah, resolutions are always made to be broken, right? So, but I've made a commitment to make a resolution for my staff at work. What's my resolution for 2025? And that's, how do I support my staff in a way that's important to my staff, and in a way that I can help my staff on a professional level, on a personal level, and get them to a place where they need to be. As we came out of the pandemic, as a university employee and a state employee, we never stopped working. We were essential employees. We were one of those employees that was there throughout the pandemic. Was it good to be employed? Yes. Did it come with consequences? Absolutely. We all know that they came with a consequence. I remember driving to and from work, and I had this little card in my wallet. If I was ever stopped by the police, that why are you out on the road, I would be able to give this little card that said I'm an essential employee and work for the university. So, but as we came out of the pandemic, and I was looking for opportunities to kind of support my staff in a way. And I was looking through, a lot of social media posts and whatnot. But there was one post that really resonated with me that I had seen on a podcast. Ryan Clark, an athlete, a football player, he started doing a podcast called The Pivot. And there was one particular podcast episode that he kind of touched on mental health, and the importance of men to literally start talking about their mental health. But something resonated with me. There was a quote in there. He talked about losing a friend when he was younger. And there was one thing, that he had committed from that point on, was to check on, his teammates, his peers, people close to him. And Ryan Clark had said, the question that we should be asking each other on a daily basis is, You good? Are you okay? And do you need anything? So I've kind of integrated that, and I've made a commitment to integrate that into, my daily interactions with my staff. Whether it's, are you okay with the workload you have today? Do you have the things that you need to be successful in your day to day to work? But if it's even more deeper than that, do you need anything? And I want to make sure that my staff knows that when I ask you, do you need anything? Is that from a work or is that from a personal? So I think that that's going to be important moving forward for me. And that's going to be the resolution that I commit to for 2025. Um, a little bit about me. Like I said, been in the industry since I was 15 years old. CIA graduate. Before I went to the CIA, I went to a small Swiss based school in the hills of Connecticut called Swiss Hospitality Institute. It's no longer there, so it has since burned to the ground. But that was my first real, that was my first real interaction with a lot of like-minded people in hospitality, other than my experience, being in a 15-year-old in a smoky steakhouse. So yeah, that was my first opportunity to really interact with people that were passionate about hospitality and whatnot. From Graduated from Swiss Hospitality Institute and traveled back home to New York and did an internship at the Oyster Bar and Restaurant in Grand Central Station. To say that that was a butt kicking would be an understatement. That place is busy. That is a busy, busy, busy restaurant. So that's really where I really experienced, the true meaning of a restaurant, of the organized chaos that we go through on a day-to-day basis, the demands of making sure that things are cooked right and whatnot. So after that, I was able then to move to Boston, and I did a stint as an assistant food and beverage manager at the Elliott Hotel, and that's where I think the Elliott Hotel was kind of where I really got the bug for being a chef. Even though I was an assistant food and beverage manager and dealing with customers face to face, I was really drawn into the kitchen work and that aspect of it. Did about 2 years at the Elliott Hotel and then decided to enroll at the Culinary Institute of America. Did that when I was a little bit older. I think it was about 24, 25 when I did that. So I think I went into that with a little bit more perspective. I was a little bit more mature, so I think I got a lot better education out of that, being an older student than just coming out of high school. I guess just to back up a little bit, before I went to the CIA, I got the tuition bill from CIA and kind of said, "Oh, this is not going to work here. I don't have this kind of cash," and financial aid wasn't going to cover that. So I did do a brief stint in New York, and I worked at ABC television studios for Sodexo until I got my money together, and then decided to get to the CIA. But in each of these experiences, was different. I learned a lot in every aspect of the places I've been to. From the CIA, I graduated from the CIA, and and I did my internship at the River Café in Brooklyn, and then after graduation, I went back to the River Café for a little bit before traveling out to California. I think my experience at the River Café was my real first experience with high volume fine dining. I was able to work with a really great chef, Rick Blackinen, and he was able to really instill in me a lot of the things that have benefited me throughout my career. This was the first time I really worked with a really top tier talented chef. So that was a really great experience to have, and that subsequently gave me the opportunity then to go out to California and then work with the Thomas Geller Restaurant Group at Bouchon. And that's when that's when it really took off, and where it really got serious, and working with a lot of like-minded people, and the standards were um, as high as they could have been. Um, so I did that. I did that for a year or two, and then came down to Dallas, Texas. Followed a woman down to Dallas, and got married, and subsequently got divorced about a year later. Putting two restaurant industry people together, with different schedules, AM and PM, sometimes just doesn't work. So had to make a decision whether to stay in Dallas or to go back home to New York, and I stayed in Dallas. Um, and when I was in Dallas, worked at the French Room again, 5 star, 5 diamond luxury hotel, real fine dining restaurant. Worked my way up to executive sous chef of the hotel, and that's I stayed at the hotel for 17 years. Unheard of, right? 17 years is an eternity in the restaurant and the hospitality industry. But that's what a lot of us did that worked at the hotel. Became almost a family atmosphere. So, um, and then yeah, the hotel had gotten bought out, and had new management. A lot of us saw the writing on the wall and which way they wanted to take the hotel. So a lot of us jumped off the ship, and went our separate ways. And that's how I after the hotel, I had taken two other short stints at one restaurant and then one country club. They were short lived. Found it very hard to transition out of being at one place for 17 years and trying to transition into something different, from that. So that was definitely a struggle for me, is to try to transition to something new and try to get my bearings again. Had a friend reach out to me, that I had worked with at the hotel, and kind of gave me the gave me the lead for something that was at UNT, for the plant-based dining facility. So was able then to get on board, with UNT, and I'm still there today. So I would say it's been a roller coaster ride, as far as my experience in the hospitality industry and whatnot. But the one thing I take away from the experiences in each of those work experiences is different levels of stress, different levels of expectations. I think for a lot of years I struggled with anxiety, definitely, depending on what the what the expectations were and the high level of stress that was going on in the kitchen. So it's been a struggle to kind of get into places and really feel comfortable, with the skin you're in. And I think a lot of people will kind of attest to that. But been able to kind of hide that and be successful, in each of those areas. At the university, it's definitely a different vibe. It's definitely more tempered environments. Yes, there is a level of stress, where it's not fine dining, but there is definitely an expectation, for that we put on ourselves. We're self-operated dining program, so we have a lot of leeway and a lot of talented people we're able to bring on board. A lot of them are hotel and restaurant vets. So we put that on ourselves to make sure that we're putting that type of experience on for the students, and of course the faculty and staff that we serve. We do serve a lot of the outside the public. All of our dining halls are open to the public. So yes, we've kind of have a following where people are coming in and actually eating. I think it's probably the cheapest buffet in North Texas, a little over $10 for all you can eat buffet. So definitely something that's been we've been very successful with, and as my role overseeing 5 dining halls, culinary operations every day, it's definitely a lot of juggling pins in the air on a daily basis. Our staffing is 85% students, which comes with its own, kind of difficulties. And as I was alluding to earlier, staffing can be trying at times, just because school comes first and work comes second for a lot of these students, and a lot of these students are not hospitality students. A lot of them are in different types of industries, from engineering to computer science to things that they'll probably never step foot in a kitchen again. So as I've kind of navigated through my culinary culinary career, you know there's always been those difficulties. And I think the biggest thing for me, was to always lean on the person next to you, to get you through, because I think that that's one of the biggest things. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned throughout my career is, it's okay to raise your hand and say, hey, I need help, because we're all in the same boat. We all know, we're all paddling the rowboat in the same direction. So I think it's okay to, it's okay to say, hey, I'm drowning here. I need you to pull me out of I need you to pull me out of the weeds here. So I think that's been one of the greatest things that I've learned. I may have learned it the hard way, and taken a lot of hard knocks for it, by not asking for help when it was appropriate. But I think in this day and age, and how much we're starting to talk about, and I think that's the main thing, starting to, because I think that there's still a lot of work that we need to do, and there's a lot more that we need to do to make people feel more comfortable about talking about the topic of mental health. That's definitely something that has become important to me with my staff, and moving forward, or even with people that I've worked for in the past and still keep in touch with, is you know taking care of ourselves, whether that's mentally or physically, or and that's definitely been one of those things that has come to the forefront, for me at least, and for a lot of us, moving forward. I think that one of the good things about working in a university environment now is, I think this is in a university environment, this is the first time I've ever heard of employee assistance, or and that was never a topic that was talked about in restaurants and hotels I've worked for in the past. And I think that's that's definitely something that's starting to be talked about, and it's starting to be offered more in corporate settings, and even in restaurants and hotels. I think that's one of, I think if there's any positives that's come out of the pandemic, that's definitely one of those, is the assistant programs, that you can now get into. So, but yeah, like I said, just to allude to what I talked about, how I started out this talk was, definitely my 2025 resolution is definitely going to be that, is going to be definitely supporting my staff on a daily basis, and definitely asking those three questions. You good? Are you okay? And do you need anything? So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stop